Welcome to another week of 5 questions about the Utah Utes. To recap, the Utes are coming off a heartbreaking 19-16 overtime loss to Arizona State. They remain in both the AP and coaches polls, however, as they prepare to face number 5 Oregon this week at Rice-Eccles. Joining me, as always, is Deseret News beat writer Dirk Facer. Dirk, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to be with you again.
With how the game ended last week, there were some people criticizing Andy Phillips after the missed field goal. How did Utah players react to such criticism?
I suppose you're talking about Twitter land, and folks on Twitter can be pretty harsh and pretty mean, especially when they can hide behind anonymous profiles like Ute this or Ute that. And a few people took some shots, and a few of the players I know responded with some harsh criticism back. But the Ute family, Ute Nation, they're pretty tight, and they know that Andy Phillips went into that having made 12 consecutive field goals. They know that that was very uncharacteristic, and as Coach Witt said after the game, the only reason Utah was in that game to begin with was the fact that Andy Phillips made 3 field goals, including a 50-yarder. So I think all is well, and Andy Phillips, he's a remarkable young man. He came into the press conference after the game and answered every question, didn't shy away from it. And like he said himself, nobody feels worse about missing that field goal than Andy Phillips. And he looks at it as a learning experience, and I doubt it'll happen again.
Utah passed for a season-low 57 yards in the loss. How is Coach Kyle Whittingham preparing for the pass attack for this week against Oregon?
Well, he dropped the big bombshell. He put both quarterbacks, Travis Wilson and Kendall Thompson, as co-starters on the depth chart, and announced that it was basically an open competition this week for the starting job against Oregon. And I think that's one way to attack that. Whose fault it is anybody's guess at this point, whether it's protection, whether it's play calling, whether it's receivers, whether it's the quarterbacks. I think they're still trying to find some answers for all this. So right now the plan of attack is to have a quarterback competition, but I'm sure everybody's on notice that's involved with the offense at this point, because those numbers have dropped the Utes to 12th in the conference in passing, and I think they're 109th in the nation, I believe, or at least in the past the century mark, and things are not well in the passing game, and it does need to get better, but remarkably, they're 6-2.
It seems like a regular weekly question asking about Tevin Carter. However, Whittingham did shine some new light on Carter's future this week. What is the status of Carter heading into Saturday's game?
Well, as usual, the Utes have circled the wagons and not telling the media about specifics on injuries at this point. However, Carter's played in 4 games this year, and if he plays in one more, the ability to get a medical red shirt is all but gone. So this is the big decisive week for Tevin Carter. If he's not able to go this week, Whittingham announced that the Utes feel very good about getting a medical red shirt and having him come back next year and play. If he's able to go this week, the medical red shirt, that'll be his 5th game, and probably not likely. So big week for Tevin Carter. If he's on the field, that'll be it. This will be his final season with the Utes. If he's not, that tells you the Utes feel very good about a medical red shirt, and you'll probably see him next season, and Utah fans will no doubt hope healthy.
We saw a shakeup in the starting lineup this week in the offensive line as well. Freshman Sayesi Oatafi. I know I probably got that one wrong, but he's listed as a starting right guard. Junior Salt demoted to backup left guard. Why make this change this late in the season?
I don't think you can read much into this. Depth charts, as Coach Witt will tell you, you cannot read too much into them. They use a lot of offensive linemen throughout the course of the game. Who starts isn't nearly as important as who finishes. So I don't think you can read much into it. For all we know, they're starting some guys just for a boost of confidence. Junior Salt, being a veteran, can probably handle coming off the bench. So at this point, I wouldn't read too much into it.
On the other side, we've seen the success from Oregon, a top 5 team right now. How is Utah preparing defensively for Marcus Mariota and the Ducks' high-power offense?
Mariota is like a machine. He's probably the leading candidate to win the Heisman Trophy this year, putting up phenomenal numbers. If you look at Oregon's season thus far, the only team that's had success against them was Arizona, obviously, and that came in a game where believe Oregon was missing two of their starting offensive linemen. Other than that, no one has held the Ducks to under 38 points. They're just putting up a lot of scores and moving the ball, moving the chains. Utah leads the nation in sacks and sacks per game. They're going to counter with trying to put a lot of pressure on Mariota, but no one's been able to find an answer for the Ducks yet, and it'll be interesting to see what Utah can come up with. But as they say, that sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and I think that's what Utah's searching for right now, is to get an offense that's capable of keeping Oregon State's offense off the field as much as possible.
Well, that concludes this week's edition of 5 Questions. Check us out each week as we answer more questions about the Utah Utes.